and it's dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, would you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Won't you stand? Won't you stand by me? If the sky we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountains they should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, would you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Won't you stand? Won't you stand by me? Whenever you're in trouble, would you stand by me? Whoa, stand by me. Won't you stand? Won't you stand by? At the stars, look how they shine for you. And and everything you do. Yeah, they were all yellow. I came along, I wrote a song for you, and all the things you do. And it was called Yellow.
Okay, so we are live, guys. You want to say hi to everyone?
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious? Less than 1 minute old. I never thought love would be making one as lovely as she. But isn't she lovely? Made from love. You don't know, babe, the way you hold me and kiss me slowly, it's the sweetest thing. And it don't change. If I had it my way, you would know that you are. You're the coffee that I need in the morning. You're the sunshine in the rain when it's pouring. Won't you give yourself to me, give it all. I just wanna see how beautiful you are. You know that I see it, I know you're a star. Where you go I'll follow, no matter how far. If life is a movie, oh, you're the best part. You're the best part.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the wedding ceremony of Danny and Sowjanya. My name is Abby Chivers. I'm a Commonwealth registered celebrant duly authorised to solemnise marriages according to law in Australia, and I'm so thrilled to officiate today's ceremony. I'd like to begin by thanking you all for being here on this incredible day. It's no accident that you're all here, and each of you were invited to be here because you represent someone so important in the individual and collective lives of Danny and Sowj. I think if you were to ask anybody what the purpose of life is, a pretty universal answer would be that everybody just wants to find their person, their other half. It's such a cliche saying, but it really is true. The person that's the missing little piece to your puzzle. They nestle into the gap so perfectly, and eventually you don't really know who you are without them. Or at least you'd never want to. Before you even know it's happening, they become all kinds of familiar to you, and their scent, their voice, and their recognisable touch is all you need to know that you're home. because home stops being a place and starts being a person. We're all here today because Danny and Sowj have found that in one another. They've built a life together and are ready to cement their commitment to one another for the future. Because when they're together, they're home. It's that simple. To all of you who love and adore them, it may come as a surprise to learn that Danny and Sowj came to be by matching on Tinder. Sowj was a ripe 22 and having just completed her second last semester of her master's at JCU and ending a lengthy relationship. Men were the last thing on her mind. She had found a sense of independence and she wanted to ride the waves of these newly discovered emotions solo. No thank you, not interested. That summer, fraternizing with her new freedom, she agreed to house and dog sit for her friend's clingy, weirdly large dachshund whilst they travelled overseas. During that time, though, she found herself experiencing some testing emotions, feeling isolated in an unfamiliar home, and keen to have some excitement, she downloaded that app. With intentions of only making new acquaintances and having some string-free flings and fun, she was under strict instruction from her sister to chill and have some Sowj time, focusing only on herself. Here enters Danny. In the most romantic recount, Sowj describes his profile as extremely corny, but cute. In the sea of weird gym bros and people posing with fish, his profile was refreshing. During one of their chats, Sowj expressed to Danny that she was researching crown of thorns starfish outbreaks in the Great Barrier Reef. He asked her if she knew the exact number of those starfish on the reef, to which she responded that she didn't. He told her he knew, and so she replied, "Oh yeah, how many?" And the digits to follow were those that constructed his phone number.
I was impressed.
After a record-breaking swipe and some comfortable chat and deplorably lame but charming jokes from one particular party's end, they arranged to meet for what would be Sowj's first and last Tinder date, and a defining moment for both of their futures. Danny was a student in Brisbane, but was travelling to Townsville that next week to spend Christmas with his family. It was December 13th, and they had planned to meet for ice cream at Juliet's on the Strand. Sowj had decided on their meeting place because she wanted a non-stressful, inexpensive, and public place, to determine whether this guy was right in the head or not. She didn't want to waste her time on anyone that wasn't. There are 3 Juliet's cafes along the Strand though, and despite Sowj giving him specific instructions on which one to meet at, he went to the wrong one, twice, before finally arriving more than an hour late. They went for a lovely walk before finding a spot to sit and share some chips and a chat. Danny felt so instantly drawn to Sowj. She was interesting and engaging, so ridiculously bright and conversational. Their time conversing online had always been a pleasure, and to be together in the same space, getting to know one another and forming a connection, he felt himself falling down the rabbit hole within minutes of meeting this witty woman. Sowj was quickly won over by her date's humour. He had her in fits of laughter. He seemed nerdy, which was a massive green flag, was so cute, and had the world's sweetest dimples. Danny didn't want their date to end, so he suggested turning it into a dog washing escapade. He knew that Sowj loved dogs and thought luring her in with an afternoon of Bart and Maggie might extend their time together. There was no chance Sowj was saying no, and so off they went to Danny's house to grab the pooches and some towels. Things were going perfectly until the worst possible thing that can happen on a Tinder date happened. As Sowj was standing at Danny's front door, waiting whilst he grabbed the dog washing gear, the women that, unbeknownst to her at the time, would one day be her mother-in-law and sister-in-law arrived, and much to Danny's mortification, introduced themselves to their son and brother's prospective partner. After making a quick escape, the lovebirds were on their way to the dog washing facility, free from curious family members. Sowj fell even further in like when she witnessed Danny baby talking to his dogs. He also did the pull my finger joke, giving Sowj his best authentic silly self. Once the canines were pristinely clean, Danny dropped Sowj home, walking her to her door to awkwardly say goodbye. He turned to leave, Sowj realizing he kind of wanted to kiss, called him back, held his chin, and gave him a peck on his pivoted cheek when he was leaning in for a full-on snog. Danny thought for sure that after the awkward cheek kiss, she'd never want to see him again. But to his surprise, she suggested they do another date at one of their places for dinner. That second date ended up being the very next night, their very first meal shared, movie watched, and fart had by Danny. They'd fallen hard and fast, knowing they'd found the real deal in one another, and they spent the rest of his time in Townsville over that Christmas break before his return home together. Less than 2 weeks later, on Christmas Day, Danny invited Sowjanya to celebrate with his entire family. A daunting idea, but she was made to feel so welcome. And with a few drinks under both of their belts, Danny declared that he would like her to be his girlfriend, before they both shared I love yous. Danny recalls that day as the moment he just knew. Everything changed, and when he looked at Sowjanya, he saw his entire future. With every passing day, they both grew more sure and secure in what they had, never shying away from moving so fast because it always felt so right to them. They fell in love quickly and almost immediately began their long-distance relationship between Brisbane and Townsville. Moving in together 6 months later was hardly a big point of discussion. It was just the next step. Their whole relationship so far, including deciding to marry, they've always just discussed and taken one step forward and then the next as it felt right to them. In 2019, they moved to New Zealand together, a trying period since waiting for a visa meant they were apart for a considerable amount of time for the first time. Danny had just started a new exciting job and was looking for a place for them to live, while Sowjanya was wrapping up her 3 jobs in Townsville, packing up most of their life, and preparing to move into unknown territory again after first coming to Australia in 2016. With the pressure ensued miscommunications and arguments, but neither ever doubted that it was all temporary, remaining focused on their greater goal of their incredible future together, and sure that they would work it all out. And they did. Through their A+ communication, they grew stronger than ever, creating a life that exceeded any expectation they had of what their future would hold, and set up their home in New Zealand. In their many discussions of marriage in the years preceding, Danny had always half-jokingly mentioned that he thought 4 years into a relationship was an appropriate time to get married. So last year, their 4th year together, Sowj expected a proposal at the end of the year, on or around their anniversary on Christmas Day. And on cue, he started acting suspiciously. He randomly brought up the topic of rings to get a feel for what she would want. Sowj had said she didn't care for them at all and mentioned as a joke that they could get cutesy couple tattoos. Danny's parents and sister were planning a trip to New Zealand in May, and after the conversation about rings, Sowj became convinced that the proposal may happen during their stay. She outrightly asked Danny if it was going to happen, and he sufficiently assured her otherwise. One day in late April, Sowj's co-worker and friend Kate randomly texted her one evening, instructing her to dress nicely for work the following day, since there were important people to the company visiting. Sowj, none the wiser that this alibi was orchestrated by her soon-to-be fiancé, thought it strange, as Danny also had an on-site visit that required him to wear a suit, but resolved to it being a coincidence and didn't question it further. Dressing for work that day, Danny pointed to specific things that she should wear to look more formal, and then she was on her way to work as usual. During her work day, Kate appeared, asking her to deliver an envelope to someone, which was so weird, as she had never done anything like that prior. Sowj said sure, and Kate insisted that she take her bag, because it may take some time so she could just come back after lunch. Things were feeling a little choreographed. Kate called an Uber, and Sowj was on her way to deliver documents to a client at an address that is actually a gorgeous city park. Arriving out of nowhere, she spots her orangutan spirit animal partner, calling her to come over to him. Surprised, confused, and a true dedicated worker, Sowj told him to wait as she had to deliver documents first. But Danny insisted that they'd be quick. He just wanted to show her the film shoot site he was at, and so she followed him into the park. Once they arrived to the picnic blanket on the ground, Danny got down on his knee, told Sowj she was the most extraordinary person he knew, and asked her to spend the rest of her life with him. She was in such a shock, barely registering what was happening. There were no recipients of the documents waiting, but there was a ring, an engraved champagne box arranged by her sister, a photographer, and through teary eyes, as it was all slowly sinking in, she said yes to a lifetime with her love. It was after the celebrations had eased, Danny advised Sowj that they had a tattoo appointment to get to, since she had always joked that permanent ink rather than diamonds should symbolise their union. They've since experienced incredible highs and have been humbled by some terrible lows, but that's all part of their unique story. They make an incredible team and have already achieved what many won't in their entire life. They've endured a long-distance relationship, graduated degrees, dealt with the grief of losing cherished dogs, overcame an intense Monopoly fight, and sustained their unyielding relationship throughout it all. Each obstacle that they've overcome leading to their next greatest achievement, strengthening their relationship, working together to resolve issues, and growing together as individuals and partners. Marriage to Danny means he gets the honour of calling his best friend extraordinaire, his teammate, and the very best person he has ever met his wife. She is inspiringly driven, unfathomably hardworking, fiercely determined, endlessly encouraging, and always shows Danny critical and unjudging support. Danny trusts Sowjanya more than anyone. He relies on her as much as he loves her. It means he will forever be enamoured by her positivity, clever approaches, and the way that she challenges him to be the very best version of himself. She is his very best friend, the person he can feel free to talk to about anything and share anything with. He loves her for exactly who she is and who she will ever grow to be. Most importantly, it means that after a bad day, all he'll need is to see Sowja's face, to be reminded that what he has is what most people spend their life searching for. For Sowjanya, it means forever cherishing Danny's natural ability to make her feel so happy, so safe, so valued, and so complete. He is her safe place, her home, and her biggest drive and support through his unfaltering encouragement. He lets her be her authentic self, indulging in her passions and interests, actively making room for them, and pushing her to try new things. He's just a constant, reassuring, supportive presence in her life, without ever pushing her to be anything but her. He is passionate, boundless, and generous, with an infectious energy, and Sowj finds that she can't help but to be sucked in to his interests and focus of the day when it feels like it's bubbling out of him. He is so driven to explore, learn, and dive deep into topics that interest him, always including Sowj in them, which she is thankful for, because she loves to watch him geek out. Danny is everything she didn't know that she wanted in a partner and more. She is so grateful for him and truly considers herself so lucky to have created this life with him. Danny and Sowjanya look forward to a future full of each other's time and love, sharing in adventures, going on walks and ranting about things, taking hikes, an occasional night out dancing to 90s tunes, crossfitting, eating, watching cricket World Cups, reminiscing on times in their Elfie van, travelling, completing master's degrees together, one day becoming parents and watching the other flourish in parenthood, nurturing the incredible bond they share, building their wonderful life together, and creating lasting memories along the way. Danny and Sowjanya, before you are joined in marriage in my presence, in the presence of your witnesses, I am to remind you of the solemn and binding nature of the relationship into which you are now about to enter. Marriage, according to law in Australia, is the union of two people to the exclusion of all others, and is voluntarily entered into for life. I'm now going to ask each of you to take a picture of one another. Whilst these will only be two of many photos taken today, they will be unique as they are captured from your point of view, in a moment that no one can recall from your perspective but you. They will reflect an unedited moment of your wedding day, as you saw your partner, before you crossed the threshold into marriage. When you look upon them, remember this exact moment, the love you feel, and the excitement you hold for what is to come. Just a cute little thing I'd add in for you guys. You can take a step back and just take a photo of the way you see them. You got it? Your turn? Yeah? You don't need a filter.
I did get the lizard, yes. So Dad hasn't seen the lizard.
I nearly stood on him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been there the whole time. Yeah.
Cameron, may we please have the rings? Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do is hold the ring over Saj's finger, repeat after me, and then you can slide it in place. Picture. So you got it there? Yeah, I'll hold your vows.
Oh, we did those prophets.
So you repeat
I'm going to
after
repeat
me.
after that. That's
okay.
right.
So you hold it over a finger.
This is painted, so I can tell.
Okay. Are you ready? I call upon the persons here present
I call upon the persons here present
to witness that I,
to witness that I,
your full name,
Danny Michael Hayes,
take you,
take you, Sowjanya Chandrasekhar,
to be my lawful wedded wife.
to be my lawful wedded wife.
Okay, you can slide that in place. There you go. Now it's your time.
Now it's my turn. Thank you very much. This is the bit that we're all stressed about. Sowj, we're nearly precisely 5 years to the day of meeting in that little gelato place on the Strand. One of three of them. Struggled to find the wrong one, so the right one, sorry again. You and I have built a life together, and in all our adventures in Brisbane and Townsville and Auckland, and I'm so excited for what the next 5 years holds and what the next 50 years holds and so much more. And as I was writing these vows, and yes, even as I was having the drive over here, I was really struggling to figure out all the words I could even possibly use to describe how much I love you. I feel almost incapable of putting it into words, but there are a few little things that remind me of how much I love you. And I love that when something goes wrong, you give a little, oh no, with a little flourish. I love that when things go right, I get a little wiggle dance. I love the little smugness you get when you can make a coffee with an oat milk foam when I can never just seem to manage that. And I love the simple things because as much as I love the person that you are at your core, it's hard to read sometimes, sorry. Because you are endlessly loving, caring, ambitious and brave. And I love the way that you love me. I love the way you make me a better person. And I vow to be your best friend, to help you be a better person. And most importantly, I just vow to always love you. Yeah.
Did so well.
Thank you.
Cameron, could we please have the next ring? So this will be the very same thing. If you just want to pop it on his finger and repeat after me. I call upon the persons here present
I call upon the persons here present
to witness that I, full name,
to witness that I, Sowjanya Chandrasekhar,
take you, full name,
take you, Danny Hayes,
to be my lawful wedded husband.
to be my lawfully wedded husband.
Slide in place. How's your time, lovely?
Danny, I'm so grateful that 5 years ago you came and took my life by storm when I was least expecting it. And you've remained such a constant, amazing force in my life since then. You and I are just meant to be, and I have a feeling that both of us have always known that from pretty much the early days of our relationship. We've always been such a wonderfully weird but solid team, always cheering each other on and making space for each other. It's not fair that you went first. We've been with each other through our best, our curious, passionate, productive, in our element best, and our worst, like us scraping through the last desperate and emotionally volatile dregs of the specific 6-hour Monopoly game. If we got through that, I think we can get through anything. No, but seriously, we've grown together so naturally, personally and as better partners to each other. Every step we've taken together, we've both been ready, since it always just made perfect sense. And now marriage seems like our next big step, and I'm so ready. I promise that I will support you in being your full authentic self, while also pestering you to put on sunscreen every day. And that I will nurture the same in myself without subjecting you to too many more Bridgerton rewatches. That might be hard though. I promise to never carry on a fight and to communicate well through words and memes, to always have your back and to support you and us in every way that I can. You've always put so much love, generosity and enthusiasm into our relationship, and I promise to try and match that energy every day. I love you so much, and I'm so excited to continue to be your humsafar as we grow old together. I cannot wait to spend the rest of my life with you.
Sorry, just a minute. I'm going to tell you guys to kiss. Okay, everybody, in just a moment, Danny and Sowj will sign their official certificate of marriage. While they do that, I just ask that you all stay where you are because the ceremony hasn't yet finished. We'll come back to the middle to finish it off once we've taken care of the legalities. Before we worry about the paperwork, though, I'm sure you've both thought about this moment since you've met. You've kissed 1,000 times, maybe more, but today the feeling is new. You aren't just partners. You are now joined in marriage, and I'm so excited to say you may now share your first kiss as husband and wife.
Here's up the late night drunk phone calls that you picked up. Here's all to the bad decisions that you didn't judge. Love yous and the hate yous and the secrets that you told me. Here's to everyone but mostly us. There's a couple billion people in the world, and a million other places we can be. But you're here with me. Take a moment just to take it in. 'Cause every high, every low led to this. I'm just so glad you exist. a heirloom from a stranger turns into caught up in a moment like it's just us in this room. Right words at the right time, and you know them 'cause you know me better than anyone else. We don't need anyone else. There's a couple billion people in the world, and a million of places we can be, but you're here with me. Take a moment just to take it in, 'cause every high and every low led to this. I'm just so glad you exist. Just so glad you exist. Just so glad you exist.
You just still like
Don't you ever go, don't you ever go, don't you ever go changing. Never let me go, never let me go, never let me go, baby. Don't you ever go, don't you ever go, don't you ever go changing. Never let me go, never ever let me go, never let me go, baby. There's a couple billion people in the world, and a million other places we can be, but you're here with me. Take a moment just to take it in, 'cause every high and every low led to this. I'm just so glad you exist. Just so glad you exist. Just so glad you exist.
This is the one with all the pressure.
Seriously. Flourish.
Yes, just signed his life away.
Okay, everybody, this is the moment you have all been waiting for. This is the moment Danny and Sowj have waited for so long. They're about to take their first steps as husband and wife together back down the aisle. As they do that, make sure you're clapping and cheering, making them feel so celebrated and so loved. If you could all please join me in standing as I introduce to you all for the very first time, the newlyweds!
I got lucky finding you. I one big good thing that I came across you. Ever with me, I don't feel blue. Not to take a spot that I would not be, 'cause everybody wants to. It's easy when you try hard enough. You'll always be my day one, day zero when I was no one. I'm nothing but myself, you and no one else. Thankful you're my day one. Thankful you're my. I first met you, it just felt right. It's like I meant a copy of myself at night.
Totally fine, yeah.
Unless you want
Don't
to just take a couple of photos and then
Yeah.
fade aside.
unless you want the
We
arbor.
were meant to be together, that's my hunch. 'Cause everybody
I've
wants
got to take them.
true love.
Get your photos, that's fine. Yeah, get the photos.
Easy when you try hard enough. always be my day one, day zero when I was the one. Said you know this, and for your mind.
Guys, come to front. Yeah, come to front.
What about the girls? Oh yeah.
Now we can have
girls at the front.
a few people standing on the side as well.
Yeah, it's a group photo. Everyone's ready.
Yeah, see your sister and
I was by
sister
hour,
and T, just come on this side.
minute by minute. I got my love for you.
Come. Like a line.
On, I just want you to know. Always be my
I'm stay in one line.
We're still live. We're still live. Ahoy.
The live camera. Yes, that's live.
Did she not come up here with the girls? No, you're fine.
Alright, he's over here, guys. Okay, very nice. 1, 2, 3. Can I have the biggest smile from today? Very quiet, very open. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Big smile, guys. 1, 2, 3. Lots of energy. Okay. Big smile, guys. Big hug now for this one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We'll have a couple and everyone else will go crazy, okay?
Play straight. Can you hold on for it?
Yes.
We'll do, guys, go have a drink first. We'll do the flower girl. Very old.